Alright, good evening everyone. Welcome back dito sa pinakabalahurang podcast sa Pilipinas. Beautiful, beautiful. Kasama po natin ngayon, millions and millions. Kasama po natin ngayon si Senator Sonny Trillanes. Dapat meron ako pa, Sonny Halika na Trillanes. Ano sir, alin na? Let's go! Let's go! Let's
Let's
go!
go. Let's go. So, thank you very much, Richard, for inviting me again
As
dito sa
always.
podcast.
Of course, Senator, there's so much to talk about, obviously, as always. Thank you for making time. I was just checking ko okay ka pa. Sabi ko, sana ano pa, wala pang mangyari para matapos natin tong podcast episode natin. Obviously, later on, I want to talk about also, some of the key appointees on the other side of the ocean, especially si Marco Rubio, who is widely expected to be confirmed as a Secretary of State sooner than later. Of course, you have some history with him in a good sense, no? Na pwede natin pag-usapan. I know a lot of people have a lot of opinion dito sa Duterte-style cabinet ni Trump, but at least some of the positions, key positions there seem to be more reassuring than not from a West Philippines standpoint. But of course, bago tayo pumunta kay Trump, Senator, kamusta? Kamusta ang Quadcom?
Mabuti naman. At least, maraming hindi na bore dun sa uh, Quadcom hearing. But seriously, at least we were able to bring out some of the issues na these issues are getting to see the light. Richard, naka-mute ka, Richard.
Can you hear me, Senator? Parang
Yes.
sabotage na yata tayo. Pero ulitin
Oh.
natin. Okay, kamusta yung Quadcom, Senator?
Ah.
I hope hindi tayo
Uh,
sabotage.
Well, yun na nga. Okay naman. At least naglagay tayo ng konting excitement doon sa otherwise very stale or very tame na hearing. But on a serious note, at least nailabas natin yung mga issues na sinupress nila nung nakarang administrasyon. And ito na nga, no, maraming nakakarinig noon at nakakita noon only for the first time. When in fact, as early as 2016, nilabas ko na yun.
Yeah, we'll go into the hearings a little bit more in detail.
Yeah.
But before that, totoo ba na hindi in-expect ni Digong na lilitaw ka, Senator? Were you a surprise guest? Or did you know about it?
I wouldn't know kung alam niya na pupunta ako o hindi. But ako, alam ko na na-invite ako as early as Tuesday, no? Kasi ano lang yun short notice lang yun. Pero I wasn't sure kung matutuloy yung hearing na yun. Kaya standby mode ako. Until nung afternoon, na-inform ako na natuloy yung hearing. Kaya I rushed to the Batasan late in the afternoon.
Right. Well, let's talk about this kasi unang-una, maraming natuwa sa Quadcom na yan. As stale as it may be, and my goodness, ilan ba 20 hours in general since last week. At least kumpara doon sa Senate hearing. Anong basa
Yeah.
mo doon sa Senate hearing? May dinala pang DDS cheering squad, andun pa si Bato. I mean, it was quite a circus, wasn't it? The Senate one. Quite embarrassing, I would say.
Yes, kasi unang-una, yung grupo nila Duterte, yung mga kaalyado niyang senador, meron na silang game plan. And yung moderator, Senator Coco Pimentel, just wanted to be strictly a moderator. So pagka ganun kasi, lopsided yon. Talagang madidictate yung tempo nung mga majority na umattend na kaalyado ni Duterte. So si Senator Risa was marginalized, no? Ma-outnumber siya doon. Tapos ang palagi kong sinasabi dito, yung effectiveness ng isang senador sa ganyang klaseng hearing is limited dun sa kanyang time allocation. Kaya no matter how effective you are, doon ka lang. When your time is up, hindi ka na makakagalaw-gano kasi you can be overruled every time by the majority.
Yun nga eh. I mean, do you think na we have seen a significant deterioration in the Senate? Kasi we'll discuss the Quadcom shortly, but mukhang lahat ng mga objective person na kausapin mo, sobrang layo na daw yung quality ng mga hearings sa Senate. Of course, with the good exception of Riza's hearings among others. Kumpara doon sa nakikita natin sa Congress. This is quite new, di ba? Back in the day when you were a senator, the Senate was the gold standard for scrutiny and fiscalizing, di ba? And Congress was supposed to be the den of trapos and, parochial issues and all. Ngayon, parang medyo iba, di ba? How do you feel as a former senator, someone who served in that institution for quite some time?
I think ano lang ito, no? It's just a matter of parang incidental lang ito. I believe this is an aberration. And ano yan, it can bounce back pagka naayos yung political alignments. Kasi ngayon masyadong porous, masyadong blurred yung political alignments. At ang nangyari, naging refuge ni Duterte, no? Yun ang ironic doon. Kasi those na hindi naman gaano pang nasa kabilang side, nasa side ni President Marcos, hindi naman sila nag-assert. They're not ready to wage war against somebody like Duterte. So, they provided that safe space kay Duterte. Pero doon kasi sa House, there's no such thing kasi maliwanag yung political lines doon. The speaker and down to the committee chairman, talagang ano ito, the traditional president's men. So since sa national level, alam nila na magkahiwalay na yung Marcos at
Unity.
Duterte. So alam nila, nag-pick na sila ng side. Doon kasi sa Senate, wala pang ganon. Hindi pa nag-assert or nag-flex yung Marcos administration doon sa mga senador. But in time, maayos yun.
Yun nga, I want to pick on that a little bit before we transition again to Senate then Quadcom. Ano sa tingin mo ang kulang dito, Sonny? Kasi parati si Ronald, 'di ba, sinasabi nila nung panahon nila si Pinoy yung presidente. They made sure, no? I mean, the right folks toe the line, 'di ba? Especially yung nangyari kay former Chief Justice Corona. We can debate about the specifics of that
Yeah.
and the case, but nevertheless nakita natin kaya naman, 'di ba? You can, the Senate and the executive can coordinate some position base dun sa agenda at saka priorities ng administration. Bakit hindi natin masyadong nakikita dito? Siyempre, given na yung Robin Hood Padilla and the Batos, but what about the other ones like Jinggoy? Is Jinggoy still feeling he's indebted to Digong for his, coming out? I mean, isn't he supposed to be administration now? And a couple of other people who should have showed up. Hindi naman sila nagpakita at all dun sa hearing na yan. So, ano yung lacking dito? Walang point man walang Ronald Llamas si BBM, yun ba yung problema?
Hindi naman. Kasi yung operative word dun sa sinabi mo kanina na ano nag ano sila pato ng line ano, they gave the order for the administration senators to toe the line. Yun yung sinasabi kong nag-flex. Wala pang ganon, hindi pa nag-flex si President Marcos doon sa mga kaalyado niya senador. Kaya ngayon they're just free to do their thing. Kasi similar to what you cited, yung nangyari kay late
Justice
Chief
Corona,
Justice
yeah.
Corona, early on, actually lamang yung mga senador na leaning towards acquittal. So, nung evident na yon towards the middle of the trial, doon ngayon nag-flex. So, may mga motivations yan, persuasions, di ba? Ngayon, eventually, nagtone na ng line. Wala pang ganon. Yun lang naman yun. That's what I'm saying kanina.
Right.
Hindi pa dumidiin yung presidente.
But you were saying, Sonny, that this is once the hearing ran its course, at this middle of its course, right? So, are, baka naman papunta pa lang tayo dyan sa Quadcom at saka Senate hearing, hindi kaya? Na baka
Uh,
we're nearing the threshold kung saan papasok na yung
I believe, ano
alignment.
yan, hindi pa necessary at this point. Hindi pa necessary kaya hindi pa ginagamit yon. Pero for example, hypothetically, pagka lumabas na impeachment yun necessary na yon. Ano na yan? Sinasabi ko nga, if you want to go to 16, you count. Meron kang principled votes and meron kang transactional votes. So bottom line, you get to 16 at least. Di ba? So makikita mo yan in the course of the trial. Pero if you
Medyo,
will just sit
right.
back o kung hindi ka magfe-flex, hindi mo makukuha yung transactional votes. Precisely, transactional yun.
Uh, Yun nga, I mean, actually, you brought in the impeachment issue. Sige, let's focus on that. Kasi, ang basa ko dito, Son, is that we have a weird situation kung saan, dahil medyo malakas ang mga Duterte sa Mindanao, yung mga senador who are running at the national level, they're showing a bit of sensitivity na alam nila, of course, mas malakas ang Marcos administration na humina ang mga Duterte. But looking
Mhm.
at the Senate race, looking at their national ambitions, takot sila siguro na mawalan sila ng suporta sa Mindanao. And that could make all the difference, right? One of the reasons Cynthia Villar topped the race, surprisingly, was because she did very well in Mindanao while Grace Poe was not doing very well. I think she was just number 8 in Mindanao or so, kaya nag-number 2 siya. So, what we're seeing right now is something weird, di ba? Kasi historically, yung congressmen, yun yung parochial, di ba? Hindi, wala silang pake sa national issue. So you cannot expect really high-level hearings, at least in theory, while senators, because they're national, this is the training ground for the next president, they're supposed to be above the fray, do their job. But now, dahil may solid South element ang mga Dutertes, and we saw even with the numbers of BBM na yung largest share of drop niya is in Mindanao, is like, but barely 30%. Parang nagkaroon ng chilling effect. Is that also your reading? Kasi feeling ko na may nagka-chilling effect doon sa ibang senators na, wait, baka mamaya banggayin natin itong mga Duterte na to, yayarin tayo mamaya when we want to rerun or run for a higher office down the road.
Yes, that's very very true. At consideration din naman yan ng mga congressmen. Pero nga nag-flex na sila doon. Nag-ano na doon ng uh, nagbaba na sila ng directive for everybody to toe the line. So you will have to choose. Do you want to play safe and be marginalized doon sa house, or dito ka you'll enjoy the blessings of being one of the stalwarts of the speaker and the president. So ganun 'yon. And namili na sila dito sa Senate. That's what I'm saying. Kaya ganun, may luxury pa silang mag-hesitate kasi wala pang directive. Pero ngayon papipiliin ka, kanino ka sasama? It's either you're with us or against us. Pag dumating sa punto na yon, mahirap na desisyon yon. But eventually, syempre, these people, some of these senators, lalo na yung mga nasa slate ni President Marcos, would rather stick it out with the administration. And mahirap tumaya kay Duterte at this point. It's a sinking ship. They know it. Alam nilang meron silang mawawalang boto, but in the bigger picture, mas malaki yung mawawala sa kanila if they will not side with the president, or worse, if they choose to side with Duterte. So kung mag-fence sit ka naman dito, ano yun? You won't get anything on both sides. So yun yung mangyayari.
So, in short, the approach there, without giving too much operational details, is you have to make hedging or fence sitting expensive, right? I mean, obviously, if you side with Duterte, tapos na yan. But even
Yeah.
hedging, dapat may cost yan because this is we're
Yes.
approaching a moment of truth, no? So, kaya I wanted to emphasize that. Now, sige, Sara muna tayo on this issue of because you jump into the impeachment issue. By the way, I the other day I was looking at it. Semenardo Guevara back in 2019. This is when Lenny was facing impeachment. So something like walang absolute immunity ang vice president kumpara sa presidente, 'di ba? So in theory, even if hindi ma-impeach isang vice presidente, if she or he, in that case Lenny back in the day, is held culpable of a serious crime, potentially pwede siya ma-disqualify from running from office in the future. And this is a legal process, unlike impeachment that has to go through the political step based on some legal evidence and all. Do you think that could be also one approach against Sara Duterte if impeachment is too hard to get because it's political, you need 16, etc. If there's serious ground that she's culpable for corruption and graft, if you disqualify her from running 2028, medyo game over din ng mga Dutertes, di ba? It's not like Baste or Digong are in a position to run in 2028. Forget about Pulong, di ba? I mean, I'm just looking at like
Yeah.
my layers of option, di ba? Yung kabila.
But realistically, theoretically, yes. But realistically, pag dumaan ka dyan sa route na yan, hindi mo maaabot yung 2028. Oo, by then,
Kasi
hindi pa
court
time
and
na.
then like
Yes,
appeal na
oo.
naman and all of
Appeal,
okay.
oo.
They'll play that
Okay,
game.
so isang example niyan, I think si Senator Joel Villanueva, he was suspended, I think, or basta meron niya yung mga ganun, pero he was
Yung
still
isa nga
allowed to.
convicted nandun pa rin.
Oo, maraming mahaba yun, mahabang proseso yun. Kaya hindi 'yon ang viable route to take. And ang sa atin naman dito is yung fitness to hold public office. Nakita naman natin on all fronts talagang kulang. And 'yun na nga, the nightmare scenario of having her succeed as president in whatever scenario, no? Whatever circumstances, grabe yun. Di ba? She can be
Oo,
president.
nag-meltdown eh. Medyo,
O,
yeah, nakakatakot.
mahirap yun. So, yan yung ano natin.
Hindi ka
Tinitingnan.
hinamon doon.
Ha?
Okay, mamaya, pag-usapan natin yung pag-hamon. So, going back to this, kaya nga sabi ko mahalaga pag-usapan itong issue na to kasi ang basa ko talaga ng DDS strategy, the Duterte strategy during the Senate hearing was to flex, di ba? To say,
Hmm.
tingnan mo yung mga senador, they're more or less on my side. Tapos nagyabang pa si Digong, talking about police, we're on one side, may cheering squad pa, doon may hatak pa. But nevertheless, he incriminated himself, right? Something that he did it even worse during the Quadcom by hinamon niya ng ICC eh. But even in the Senate hearing, 'di ba? Precisely because he was so confident dahil andun yung mga factotum, very passive yung moderator, si Risa limited lang time, may cheers, leading squad, may panelo, the whole
Yeah.
circus, right? I think that also helped for Digong to be hubristic and overconfident, 'di ba? Kasi nagkalat siya, tinanong siya ni Risa, "Wait, ang sinasabi mo sinet up niyo yung mga tao bago niyo lang pinatay?" So essentially, nanlaban was a setup, 'di ba? I think the Senate hearing brought out enough, 'di ba?
Yes, pero alam mo at this point in time, confident na si Duterte na to say all of these things kasi nung presidente siya, yung hubris na yan, noon pa yan eh. 'Di ba? It gets him into trouble, but it's ang iniisip niya rito, it got me to where I am as president. Kaya yun yung nasa skill set niya na kailangan niyang i-optimize eh. O ngayon, pero it gets him into trouble. Like yung sinabi niya, yung sinalis niya yung sa ICC. Hindi, sige, willing akong gano'n. Eh di kinol kagad ng Marcos administration. Sabi ni President Marcos, kung yun ang gusto niya, hindi kami hadlang. Tapos na yan, it cannot be undone. Hindi niya pwede sabihin, hindi, joke lang. Tapos na. It's now a policy statement by the President. We will not get in the way. So, that's because of the hubris of Duterte. Ngayon, alam niya kasi that he can alam mo, master manipulator
Manipulator, yeah.
si Duterte, no? And yung kanyang arsenal, napaka ano yan eh, yung latitude na napakalawak. He can lie, he can curse, he can kumbaga create a
Joke.
scene,
Yeah,
he
he
can
jokes.
joke, hyperbole, 'di ba? Pwede siya in the rare times, pwede siya magsabi ng totoo kung if it will be beneficial for him, half truths. Kumbaga, ang dami niyang ways. Kaya iniikutan niya. Ang assumption dito kasi yung mga nag tatanong sa kanya, yung mga nag-interrogate sa kanya, mga straight shooters, 'di ba? O mga ito, so they were taking his answers at face value. So you don't do that kay Duterte. Kailangan basagi mo yung narrative niya at dali mo siya dun sa isang uncomfortable situation, doon ngayon siya magwawala. And that's exactly what we did when we presented the bank accounts. Hindi niya malusutan yun. For ilang years, 8 years, he tried to suppress that or evade that issue, pero it kept haunting him eh. Ito ngayon, hindi niya ngayon kontrolado yung Quadcom, no? And uh, going back to sa point mo kanina, Richard, to be fair sa mga congressman, even before, meron naman yan silang ano kumbaga it's the same set kumbaga rules of parliament eh. Yeah, the same thing that's being used sa Senate and House. So ganun lang yon. Pero conscious yung mga chairman ngayon ng Quadcom that they need to be not only be fair but to be perceived as fair, and it's important to them. Kaya ganun yung inano nila, sinisigurado nila doon sa kanilang proceedings. Doon kasi sa Senate naging ano na naging parang uh, ordinary na, naging routine na eh. So, sige. Kaya na hindi nila na-expect yung ganong klaseng resource person kagaya ni Duterte. Kasi ang assumption doon, yung routine is the senators are in control, no resource person would dare do those things. So, that was the assumption coming in. Hindi nila alam na Duterte is very much capable of doing all those things he did dun sa Senate hearing. Kaya,
He
ganun
didn't want to
nangyari.
finish it, di ba? He
No?
overtalks, pinapatapos na ni Coco Pimentel.
Oh,
No, 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 I don't want to finish. Tapos si Bato, sir, pwede
mm,
tapusin na. He had no respect. He had zero respect for the
wala.
institution. Ang yabang
Mm,
niya, he was talking as if he's still the president. So you're saying, hindi psychologically prepared ng Senate because they're used to have differential
oo.
resource speakers.
Oo, yes. So, ganun nangyari. And dun sa experience nung sa Senate, nakita ng ano yon. May ano sila doon eh. May benefit
My
sila
learning
ng
experience.
oo. Ngayon, okay, ma-anticipate na nila if Duterte will do this, what can we do? What will we do? So may SOP sila. Pag nagwawala si Duterte, suspend natin. Suspend. Then aanuin siya. Pero for an egotistical person like Duterte to be placed in a corner na in a box for that matter, kasi remember for so many years even sa Davao as mayor and as
His
president.
entire political life, essentially.
Oh, pag nag ando dun siya sa lectern, he can fire away, he will say whatever he wants, 'di ba? Wala nagre-restrain sa kanya. Naalala mo nung pandemic, in the middle of the night magpe-press con, ano lang
2
siya
a.m.
kung ano-anong kalokohan yung sasabihin. But walang ano, kumbaga walang guardrails, walang restraints. Ngayon, uupo siya ron, tapos le-lecturean siya ng mga kagaya nila Congressman Abante, you don't do this, you don't ganito. Ang bigat sa kanya noon, di ba? Tapos eventually, nung nagkatabi kami, and I was telling the whole world about yung kanyang sindikato, yung involvement niya sa illegal drugs, that was, ano, parang pumuputok siya doon, parang sumasabog siya. Kaya nung huli, naggaano na lang siya. He creates a scene every time para lang ma-disrupt yung flow ng hearing.
Medyo bratty din, medyo ADHD na brat. I want to go to the content of your allegations against former President Rodrigo Duterte shortly. But before that, at the human level, I want to ask about you. But before that, can I also ask about Senator De Lima? Because dun sa Senate hearing, I don't think she was given enough latitude to really lay out her case. In fact, Jinggoy put her on the defensive and I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
very unfairly. Parang, wait, siya, victim blaming pang ginawa, 'di ba? Parang ba't wala kang ginawa ng DOJ secretary ka? Like I think she was not prepared for that. Like what the heck? Ako yung biktima dito.
Oo.
But at
Oo.
least dito nagkaroon siya ng panahon. But nevertheless, magkatabi sila ni Digong tapos bastos pa si Digong, 'di ba? Nag-gesture pa siya na upakan ko pa to eh. Like bastos eh, tinabi sila. What was your reading of Senator De Lima? I mean, I will interview her separately, but from what you're reading, first of all, it's very bastos for a man to do that to another woman, no matter how deep is the disagreement. But ikaw, as a gentleman, Senator Trillians, what was your read of the Senator De Lima's presentation and also how she carried herself, being right next to Digong, including when
Mhm.
nag-aamunan na kayong dalawa, di ba?
Well, very gracious siya dun sa all throughout the proceedings. She held her cool at ano no, nagkaroon din siya ng platform. She was able to tell her story and beside dun sa kanyang tormentor. Kaya kahit ganun-ganun si Duterte, ano 'yon? Parang in your face 'yon. Tapos yung gesture niya na susuntukin niya si ano, I'm sure yung mga Pilipino na nakapanood noon talagang
Tapos,
kahit
Mas
anong
malala yung
anggulo, ano
ano.
yun, talo siya doon. So, ano yun, kumaga hats off kay Senator Laila for for being gentle and the adult doon sa buong pangyayari.
100%. And also putting forward the case very substantively. Medyo tampo ako sa iyo ng konti, Sunny, no? Because
Right.
parang alam ko sa kabilang channel, medyo sinabi mo yung personal drama mo na hindi mo sinabi sa akin, di ba? Kasi last time tayo nagsama, nililigtas kita. Sunny, wag natin pag-usapan yan. Inaway na tayo, di ba? Na-cancel tayo nung 2 months ago. Pero ngayon mukhang okay na naman
Yeah.
tayo sa Senator Trillanes, no? Pero
Yeah.
ang narinig ko sa kabilang channel, you said something about your traumas during Duterte's time. Never mo sinabi sa akin na nagtampo ako. Don't you feel confident enough? No. Did you say
Sige na.
something about the traumas of? Yeah, I mean, I saw a column. Hindi ko alam
Yeah.
sino nagsabi na gusto kong papatayin ni Digong noon na nagwala daw siya once
Oh.
in cabinet. Sabi na patayin ko na to. And then someone said, "Uy, wag niyong galawin yan. PMA yan, military yan, something like that."
Um,
Can you tell us to the degree that you can share in public how traumatic it was for you? Kasi Senator De Lima, alam natin yung trauma niya. She shared it. Pero ikaw, macho
well,
ka. You never shared that.
I wasn't really referring to a personal trauma, but it was the collective trauma of the Filipino people.
Right.
'Di ba? We saw how people from all walks of life, from various sectors, different classes of society, na talagang fearful, genuinely fearful, talagang disgusted sa nangyari, but they had to keep it in. So yun yung sinasabi ko na you don't want to go through that collective trauma again. Kasi yung personal threats sa akin, yun, ano, gusto kong kasuhan ng murder. Actually, may nag-file ng murder. Hindi lang pinalusot talaga kasi napaka-absurd na. O, finailan ako ng kidnapping case. Actually, 22 cases lahat yan ang
Yun
finail
nga
sa
eh.
akin. So then, nag-attempt, no? There were actually two attempts at my life, apparently, no? Nag-plot sila. But sabi ko nga, I'm a fatalist. Siguro may mission pa tayo kailangan gawin. Biruin mo, of all the people na magta-turn, yun pang inutusan to actually kill me. Yun pa yung nag-turn. And kumaga, yun, we got a lot of divine help during those dark moments. Kaya ano tayo, we're still around. And ngayon, uh, na ano na natin, we're on the other side
Side
of
of
the
the, yeah,
world.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so let me apologize. Wala ka pala masyadong sinabi sa kabilang chan. Hindi naman tayo competitive. I was just making sure kasi sa Reddit, people are comparing your interview with me and interview sa kabilang channel. May sinabi daw, sabi ko, parang di niya sinabi sa akin na nagtampo ako. No, but
No, no.
of course later we'll talk about Marco Rubio, Senator Marco Rubio also very
Yes, no.
short because he was very important also. But at the personal level, kasi ngayon tinatapos ko yung memoir ni Alexei Navalny. Right?
Mhm.
Tapang na tao, grabe din. Putin ang
Oh,
kalaban. That's
oh,
no joke.
oh.
KGB, di ba?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, the person I can think of closest to Navalny's experience is you and Senator De Lima, to be honest. No, with all due
Mhm.
respect to everyone else, you two
Yeah.
guys, you really face, and in your case, mas natatakot pa ako sa'yo kasi sa labas ka pa, di ba? Baka
Mhm.
i-shortcut ka nila. But to the degree that you can share in public,
Ah,
Sonny, maybe in private we can
siguro,
share more. Like, how did
okay.
you cope with the stress, with the trauma? Like, fatalistic na lang, bahala na. I just have to do what I have to do.
Yes, ano, parang ganun ako since nung Oko, then yung nakakulong, then sa Manila Pen. Ganon. If this is the path that is laid in front of me, then I'll pass through it. Ngayon, siguro one of the things, one of the stories I told sa ano is yung nung time na nagkakaroon na kami ng encounter ni Duterte, no? Tinitindigan ko na siya. Nung time na yon, grabe yung mga riding in tandem, ano? Ang sasakyan ko was a Fortuner na hindi bulletproof.
Bulletproof.
Oh, hindi bulletproof. So ngayon, itong si Senator Grace Poe was so fearful dun sa ano ko, situation ko na
Pinairam ka.
pinahiram niya yung bulletproof niya. And ano yun, that ruled out any riding in tandem scenario. Kaya ano yun, sabi ko nga, we got a lot of of divine help, may mga ginamit naging instrumento sa pag ano sa atin, uh, pagharap dito sa mga difficulties. So things like that, no? Tapos, syempre, I needed to be unpredictable in my schedule. Kumbaga, ginagawa naman natin yung ating mga security protocols. Naglagay ako ng metal plates dun sa aking office sa Senate kasi ano yun pwede kang i-RPG from the outside, no? So at least malilimit mo yung mga ways that they can harm you physically. Ganon.
And to be fair, well, you mentioned Senator Graceville, also Senator Tito Soto, right? Stood by you
Yeah,
when
yun.
you had to
Yes,
hunker
yes.
down, di ba? Yeah.
Oh, yun si Senator Soto, no? Kasi nung kinancel yung aking amnesty, nasa published yun eh. Since hindi naman ako lawyer, I was working on the assumption na wala na akong magagawa doon. So sabi ko, after ng hearing ko sa Senate, so hinihir namin yung four-piece law, no? Na yung kay bill ni Senator Laila. So sabi ko, after nito, sasama na ako. Di sinabi sa akin ni Senator Risa, who was seated beside me, sabi niya, andiyan na yung CIDG, no? Papasok na. O sige, di andiyan na. Then after a while, sinabi niya, hinarang ni Senator Soto yung CIDG. Tapos pinapaakyat kami para ano daw, para mag-usap. So after the hearing, I went to Senator Drilon first. So doon ako sinabihan ni Sen Frank. Sabi niya, Sunny, hindi ka pwedeng sasama dyan sa kanila na walang warrant. Kasi the moment you do that, you won't be able to question the validity of the warrantless arrest anymore. Nakakulong ka na habang kung anong appeal ang gagawin mo. Tapos pumunta kami kay Senator Soto, sinabi ni unilaterally hindi niya pinapasok. So, 'di ba, everybody got the impression na lahat sila mga kaalyado ni Duterte, but still may mga uh, tao, may mga people working in the institutions who love the institution more than itong loyalty nila no, nagbigay nila ng value yung nila sa democratic institution. So,
And fear.
he
I mean, let's
defended
be
it.
honest. I think people were after what happened to Senator De Lima. I won't be surprised
Yeah.
that a lot of other senators had to double check their notes. No.
Mm. So, it was a defiance in a way, unilaterally by Senator Soto as the Senate President initially, then eventually he consulted with everyone and nag-unite. Unanimous. Kumaga, publicly, they saw me as a lone ranger na parang kaaway ko lahat. But actually, doon sa Senado, nung lalo na mga moments na yon, nakita mo na talagang uh,
Close
they
ranks na kayo eh. Oh.
they defended the institution. Marami no sinasabi nila uh, Senator Loren na sila Senator Binay na this is our house. They are doing this inside our house. So anuin natin, palabasin natin. O sina Senator Migs naman, sina Senator Angara, sabi nila, the moment bayaan nating
Yeah, precedents.
magkaroon ng warrantless arrest dito kay Sunny, then he can do that to the rest. So, kumaga, let's make a stand now. Kumaga, ganun yun. And everybody closed ranks. At yun, dun ng, dun ng, that gives you confidence about the strength of our democracy when it was under siege, no? And it came, these things came from people who you least expect to stand up against somebody like Duterte. Ganon.
Ang tawag ko dyan, stealth resistance or steady state, diba? Yun ang term nila sa Trump administration. Quiet lang, behind the scenes, informally, there are
May
people who
push
are
back.
holding the line. Exactly. So,
So
it's very
nagpo-push
important.
back.
So, kumaga, ikaw yung nasa front, you make the noise, you send the signals, but
Mm.
actually other people are also doing it. Kaya nga mahalaga talaga eh. Kasi I remember very well may mga nagsabi, bakit kasi si Trillanes, bakit kasi si Senator De Leon, dapat nag-calibrate sila kasi alam naman nila ganito sa. And then may nagsabi, actually estudyante pa yata, if I'm not mistaken, estudyante pa ni Leloy Claudio, isang kaibigan natin, sabi niya, but sir, kung everyone will be quiet and calibrated, then di ba, immediately the
Oo.
standard comes down. So
Yun na
someone
yung
has to really go on the front and take the risk, unfortunately. And
oo.
you were the one of the ones at least.
Hmm. So, importante yung pushback na ginawa. And ito pa, no, isang moment na kailangan natin i-highlight is, o sige, may institutional pushback na from the Senate. Ngayon, yung AFP rin, the Chief of Staff then, General Galvez, he was given a directive to arrest me. Pero hindi niya ginawa. Hindi niya ginawa kasi may pushback from the mid-ranking officers na alam nilang mali yun, di ba? Mali yun. So, siyempre, it's the PMA thing. Na-underestimate ni Duterte yun na akala niya, the soldiers, the officers will just do as he
Feeling,
pleases.
yeah, oo.
So
Akala
ngayon,
niya police ang military no offense.
oo. So ganon, hindi ginawa. Ganon din, pati when kinonsult si DILG Secretary Anyo, tsaka si Secretary of Defense
Lorenzana.
Lorenzana,
Exactly.
sinabi nila, wag. So collectively, silang tatlo nag-push back. Okay, ngayon, everything boiled down dun sa judge, no? Si Judge Soriano. Si Judge Soriano was
Ito yung Makati, di ba?
harassed. Oy, Makati.
Yeah.
So ngayon, pinangakuan siya, binigyan siya ng kung ano-anong offer. Pero talagang hindi niya masikmura eh. So biruin mo, yung pushback came from an RTC judge against the weight of the Duterte presidency. So doon yun. So doon mo makikita yung mga ganong moments na tipong Duterte was pushing the limits of his power, undermining the democracy, pero kahit na developing country tayo, infant or baby democracy, but the institution
Fledgling.
fledgling.
It's an
Uh,
advantage of less.
oh, pero meron pa rin the institutions were strong enough, at least at some institutions were strong enough to push back. Yun.
No, but kudos to you, Senator. You and Senator De Lima talaga, you set the standard. I think it was very important. For me, yung moment na yan, yung na-hunker down ka sa Senate and others didn't want to cooperate, including from AFP, at saka yung time na gusto ni Digong mag-nationwide martial law after Mama Sapano and then Lorenzana and Anyo went to Lenny, di ba? I remember, I think those were the two moments. Kung
Mhm.
hindi nangyari yan, wala na, Putin na tayo. Totally
Oo.
wala na yung democracy natin. So I hope people appreciate those things. I mean, of course, in media, we did our job, etc. And, people in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
media are
yeah.
getting all the accolades they deserve. But I
Mhm.
always tell our friends, they're not the only one. In fact, they're even more important people, including the military, people like you, among others, who made that sacrifice. Now, balikan natin ito with Tatay Digong. Essentially, you replayed yung sa ABS-CBN. Yung ba yun? Yun yung nagpatanggal ng franchise ng ABS-CBN. Yung pinilay mo na bank account, hindi ba yun yung lumabas ng election time? Hindi ba yan
No,
yun? Ano yun? Ano
ah,
different?
hindi. Pinalabas ko yun sa GMA 7.
GMA pala, sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oo. May pinalabas din ako sa ABS-CBN yung may mga bata. Pero
Ah,
pinalabas ko rin yun sa GMA 7. Kaya sabi ko,
bakit
don't
ABS
ever,
lang? Oh.
oo, ano lang yun, pretext lang ni Duterte yun na kasi naglabas ng ganitong ad o hindi nilabas yung ad. Pretext lang niya yun. He was determined to take over ABS-CBN for himself. Kasi gusto nilang gagamiting vehicle yun for 2022. Yun naman yun eh. Kaso, nung kinukuha nila from the Lopezes, ayaw ng Lopez ibigay. O kung ayaw mo ibigay sa amin, isasara namin. So, ganun ang nangyari yon. All the rest, pretext lang yun. Drama yun. Mga hindi nagbayad ng tax, nagkuhan ako ng ad. Pwede ba yun? Ganun ba ka-shallow? Ano yung franchise?
Reimburse daw siya, di ba? Sabi niya, nagbayad daw siya, di naman
Oo nga,
lumabas.
kaya nga, di ba lumabas no, during the hearings, actually lahat baloney. But it's just Duterte being Duterte, gagawa siya ng mga pretext, but in the end, gusto lang niyang ano yon, as part of undermining democracy, kukuhanin niya yung mga medium of or mga organs of information dissemination. Yun yung ano niya. Ayan.
Oh, Congressman Barber's opening sa Quadcom hearing from last week, essentially his argument was, yeah, Digong may have had good intentions. Lahat naman tayo gusto natin ng, kampanya laban sa pinagbabawal na droga, pero may mas epektibong paraan. Tapos pinakita niya ito yung
Mm.
datos kay BBM,
Yeah.
ganyan-ganyan. Pero ikaw, ang attack mo kay Digong is more fundamental, no? You're even
Mm.
questioning his intentions. You're not saying na bara-bara lang yung method. Hindi lang kapalpakan, hindi lang maraming namatay unintentionally. I hear this a lot. Ay, kawawa naman si tatay, good intentions, yun lang. Sorry na lang, or kawawa, collateral. Ang thesis mo, Sonny, is something different, right? Your thesis is that
Yes.
this is not even really a war on drugs at all.
Yeah.
This, something else was going on. What is your fundamental thesis para lang maalala ng tao? And then relate mo dito sa bank account issue na yan.
Okay. Kasi ganito yan. Because of the insider in Arturo Las Cañas, we were able to get this, yung true intentions of Duterte. Kasi yun na nga, no? They were protecting Duterte's drug lord partners, Michael Yang, Sami Uy, Charlie Tan. Tapos they were killing the competition. Ganun yon. Tapos nung in-elevate nila yung same modus nila. Tapos just to ano just so the public would be impressed dun sa and be convinced dun sa sincerity nila, they will actually kill uh, ano yon, mga chemists, mga shabu laboratories na i-raid nila lahat-lahat, pero competition yon. So sinat down nila yung all the local manufacturing ng shabu. Then after that, na-clear na yung way for the importation ng tone-tonelada. Yun, alam mo yung mga pumasok na droga sa nung panahon ni Duterte via the
Yung
front
magnetic
door.
field, yeah.
Oh, via the front door ito sa customs. Record dito, prior to the Duterte administration, walang ganyan na importation. Kalaki. Tapos ito yan, kumbaga common sense. Kung ikaw, mag-drug lord ka, magpapasok ka ng droga sa isang bansa na supposed to be galit na galit yung presidente sa illegal drugs, you would dare pass through the front door and risk yung merchandise mo? Hindi, di ba? Gagawin mo lang yon kung kapartner mo ah, yung presidente at sigurado ka makakalusot. At nakalusot ang mga droga, tone-tonelada. Yung mga rare moments na nakakapture, ito yung dahil merong proceeding PDEA o PNP na hindi part ng syndicate na natitisod nila, no? And yung sa Valenzuela, yung 6.4 billion, ang nag-report pa sa ano natin sa customs after the fact nung nakalusot na was yung rival na triad nung grupo nila Michael Yang. Kumaga, ganun yun eh. At ganun yung
So wait, so
nangyari.
your argument this was a corporate merger strategy.
Yes. Ano to, minonopolize yung drug trade.
But did you
Similar
have to run for president to push for corporate merger? That's your because okay, again, Sonny, I'm not questioning
yeah.
necessarily your thesis. What I'm saying is that hindi ba may messianic complex din talaga si Digong na feel niya parang he's the man to say you're saying all of that is just pure act? That was really
Hindi.
just cover for a corporate takeover merger?
Yes, kasi nung sa Davao, ganun ginagawa nila. Pero kasi, wala naman siyang planong tumakbong presidente. Wala naman eh. Nung early on talagang. Kaso, circumstances pushed him into that situation. Kaya nga, in a way, reluctant din siya na tipong, teka muna, drug lord protector ako. Baka mabibisto ako dyan. So, kaso, the act was so believable, maraming maraming nagtulak sa kanya to be the savior of the country. Then ngayon, nakakita sila ng opportunity, tinuloy niya yung act niya at the national level. So ngayon, itong mga partners nila, ano to eh,
Fiesta na.
parang fiesta ito. Why will they suddenly say, hindi, ayaw namin, gusto lang namin, local ano lang tayo. Hindi. They took advantage of it. Tapos nag-branch out pa, nag-diversify pa si sila Michael Yang, into Farmally, Pogo, lahat-lahat, no? Kaya
Conglomerate strategy.
conglomerates na, di parang yan yon. And it's very, very obvious. Pag na-decode mo nga siya, kasi kami nakita na namin yung armed with the inside information, nakita ko na every move that he's making is precisely aligned with yung ano na yon, yung
Modus
thesis.
operandi.
Oh, so
Mm.
kaya na at every turn, biruin mo galit na galit siya sa illegal drugs. Nalusutan si File doon sa customs. Ordinarily, kung hindi sa iyo yung droga na yon, anong gagawin mo? 'Di ba? You would have fired and imprisoned si
Python.
Paildon.
Oo.
Pero anong ginawa niya? Masyado mainit, kinasuhan kunyari. Tapos dinismiss kaagad. Anong ginawa dun sa prosecutor na nag-dismiss? Ginawang judge. Okay. Tapos anong ginawa kay Paildon? Ginawang nilipat siya sa OCD muna and eventually sa Bilibid. Nire-recycle mo. Dalawa lang yun yung kay Fildon is either you are in on it or you're so incompetent na nalulusutan ka. Either way, you deserve to be fired. So, yun. Nangyari pa ulit kay La Peñas. Nalusutan ng magnetic lifters. Nalusutan, anong ginawa niya? Pre-note, ginawang TESDA. Tapos ito yung magnetic lifters. Ito napaka-obvious to. Sabi ng PDEA, positive na nalagyan. Anong sabi nung presidente na galit sa illegal drugs? Sabi niya, hindi, speculation niya lang yan. Ina-arbor niya because that was Michael Yang's shabu. So,
Just to be clear, this is the Michael Young who was a card na presidential economic advisor na
yes.
Chinese citizen. Is that even legal for a Chinese foreign citizen to be an economic presidential advisor? I mean, it's
Di
ridiculous.
ba? Oo. So, ano yun? Talagang treasonous na yun at so many levels, talagang nilolooban ka na. Ang dami niyang ginawa. Here comes the report ni Colonel Acerto. Colonel Acerto was not in on the syndicate. So, ang ginawa niya, may informant nagsabi sa kanya na itong si Michael Yang, drug lord. Baka hindi alam ni Presidente. Very naive din siya. So, nag-initiative siya. Pinasa niya yung report. Pinasa niya kay Pedea,
Oo naman.
Aquino, pinasa niya kay Bato de la Rosa, binasa niya kay Bongo, hoping na parang forewarn si Duterte na layuan itong drug lord na to. Anong ginawa? Kinasuhan siya, pinakasuhan siya kung ano-ano, at on national TV, gusto siyang papatay. Is that a demeanor of somebody who's serious about reading
Fighting
his
drugs,
of
yeah.
illegal drugs? Hindi. 'Di ba? Inarbor niya Maliwanag inarbor niya. Si Michael Yang. Ilang beses niya inaarbor 'yon.
So,
Kaya napaka na lang kumbaga you would have to be dense or totally fanatical kay Duterte not to put everything together.
although I've heard some fanatics saying, but well, I mean, if he rationalizes the process para maayos yung supply and all, baka I mean, I've heard even apologies telling me that. No, okay
Hindi,
lang at
pero
least
ito yan.
streamline
Ito
daw yung
Richard.
distribution.
Okay, ang bottom line naman nila kasi is profit, di ba? So what happened during the time of Duterte? So na crash nila yung local manufacturing. So sila na yung distribution unit sila, no? Ano na ngayon nangyari? Tumaas yung presyo. Kasi yung supply limited, pero the demand is still there. So yung presyo na command nila tumaas. Nahahakot nila yung profits doon. At alam mo nangyari, di ba, nung nawala na si Duterte, pumasok na yung Marcos administration. Early during the Marcos administration, remember the 990 kilos shabu na nahuli na involved yung mga police, generals, colonels, and yun na ngayon ang ginawa ni Duterte. Naging distributor na yung pulis. Kasi pinagpapatay nila yung mga local distributors, ngayon sila na nag-distributor. So, ganyan yung nangyari. Yung mga mayor na pinatay, pang sample na at the same time, sila na ngayon. May vacuum na doon. They can now distribute their goods ng mga players nila. Kumaga ano to, similar ito Richard dun sa if you follow that Mexican defense minister na
Yeah, I wanted to go to
yeah,
Narcos actually. Yeah.
oo, true story yon. Ito rabid ano siya, anti illegal drug crusader siya. Galit na galit, talagang pinagpapapatay niya talaga yung mga kartel, ano, iba-iba. Yung pala, meron siyang kartel na ini-spare. So he
In
was on the pay.
Tijuana, yata yun in
Oh.
Tijuana area. Yeah, yeah. I remember that
So
very well. Yeah.
this is exactly the same story.
So I
Ganon
was
sila.
about to say actually Digong kind of changed kasi when you say narco state, it's like yung buong bayan ay nadamay sa away ng mga kartel. Ito, narco state in a sense na yung estado mismo
So,
ay
yung sa
allegedly involved hindi like estado na nagnanarcos, di ba?
yan.
Like next level yan.
Siya mismo. Si
Yeah.
Duterte mismo. Kaya kumbaga, every time this guy talks to the public, ako nakikita ko yung mga sinabi sa akin nila Las Cañas, nila Matobato, tapos yung mga report nila Acerto, and everything in between yung mga ginagawa niyang pag-arbor, pag-protect sa mga kasindikato niya, pagpalusot ng droga. Basang-basa ko siya. Kaya that's where I'm coming from. And I was so glad to have that opportunity to tell that dun sa Quadcom. Mm.
Papunta na tayo sa Quadcom, no? Sorry, I really had to extend this part kasi alam mo naman sa atin, 'di ba, Sonny, it's easy for people to forget, the gravity of the situation. Nadadala sila sa drama of the Quadcom. I just wanted people to realize what's at stake here, no? Anong pinag-usapan? What's the fundamental thesis here? Sonny, do you think that enough has been spilled or exposed already? Kasi ang concern ng ibang tao is baka naman yung iba habol lang nila dito, libreng airtime hanggang election na to. Baka nakakaumay na to mga hearings na yan. Do you think we're passing the threshold na kung saan siguro DOJ and ICC have to come in na? Parang ilan pa bang hearings ang kailangan natin?
Palagay ko ano naman to eh. Mutually independent yun eh. The DOJ can start building up the cases and I think they are building up the cases. The ICC is also doing its thing. Tapos
So
ito,
complementary you're saying.
oo, yes. So ngayon, itong lumalabas na ito ngayon, ito yung mga story ang nasuppress eh. Kailangan mabalikan ito kasi at least nalalaman ng mga kababayan natin na who used to be supporters of Duterte na ganito pala yung ginawa ni Duterte para part yon ng ano natin. Hindi lang healing process kundi part ng educational process, baka makabola pa ulit itong mga ito
Ay,
later on eh.
mamulat dapat tayo. O
Oo.
pwede sila makabola. I mean, we'll talk about Trump shortly, no? He made a big comeback. We saw that in Thaksin in Thailand. We saw that in Berlusconi in Italy. Kaya ng mga populist na bumalik if you don't, do your job, right? Kasi the
Yeah.
worst thing is you go after them and then makasurvive sila, mukha pa silang kawawang biktima, then they come back even stronger, di ba? I mean, that's a real risk, no? If this is not seen through.
But well, it's still better than doing nothing, 'di ba? Kung giving them a free pass would is
Oh,
a
absolutely,
sure
absolutely.
o kumbaga ay sure formula ng ano nila ng comeback nila. Kailangan pahirapan. Kumbaga sa marathon kailangan unang-una, well, kailangan panagutin. Yun na lang. Kasi baka may ma-misinterpret pa yung mga analogy natin eh.
Yeah, yun nga. I know
Ah.
you were...
So,
You don't have to say anything. Basta ang point ko lang, Senator Terence, you're not supposed to answer everything
ah,
I say. Let me say some of the other things. Na ang point ko
yeah,
lang kasi dito is,
ah,
marami kasi tayong mga presidents kung saan ang daming hearings nangyari tapos wala rin napuntahan. I mean, we can talk about Farmali for instance. Ang daming ganun. So minsan nagiging cynical or skeptical ang tao na ayan na naman, hearing na naman, mga expose, and then sa dulo wala rin mangyari, etc. At least yung kay Alice Go, we saw naman, things are moving the right direction. Na-cancel yung fake niyang passport, na-expose na potentially, ano pa siya, asset pa siya. So at least something is happening. What I'm saying is, di ba, sabi ni Ralph Waldo Emerson, when you strike at the king, essentially you have to make sure you go all the way. Otherwise, kung mag-survive yan, babalikan ka talaga nila yan. And if you're BBM, and you're looking at what happened to Pinoy, what's happening to Digong, what happened to Erap, what happened to Gloria, the worst thing that could happen to BBM is half finished job ito, and then
Mm.
after 2028 babalikan talaga siya, 'di ba? I'm just, saying how things could turn out if this is
Yeah.
not done properly, meaning hanggang
Yeah.
hapyaw-hapyaw lang na hearing at saka pakit lang yung iba dyan. I'm not saying yun ang nangyari. I'm just saying yun yung risk kung
Mm.
ito yung direction of the wind. Yun ang sinasabi ko, Senator. But you're optimistic na things are moving in the right direction, complementary naman. And we're talking about evidence, hindi ito demolition job. Kasi I keep on hearing, demolition job lang yan, political lang yan.
Well, doon sa first part, ang sagot ko ron, well, nakikita ko naman na nagbi-build up ng mga cases. Hindi ito ano lang. Yun nga, no? Yung, kumbaga, mutually exclusive sila eh. Parang, ano. Ngayon, ito naman, doon sa part na sinasabi mo na, ano ito, parang demolition job. Actually, yung mga ganyang bagay, it depends on the people eh. Yung mga tao, pag nakita nila na ano yan, parang scripted yan o bogus yung mga nilalabas, alam nila yan eh. They will turn away eh. And remember, ang pinakang batayan ng mga ganyang hearings is the public pulse. Nakikita ng mga Quadcom chairman na more than 1 million yung nanonood nung kanilang hearings eh. Ibig
But
sabihin, the
that's my
people are
worry.
voting.
Baka ma-addict sila dyan. Gusto nila hearing ng hearing. Kasi
Hindi, pero
walang airtime yan eh.
yes, that's the politician's instinct. But still, part nun, kahit gusto mo pa ng more airtime, pero kung wala ka ng sustansyang nilalabas, wala ka ng worthwhile na panuurin, edi wala na. Mawawala, magda-die down naturally yon. So yun naman ang sinasabi ko. Lalo na kung gumawa ka na ng mga bogus witnesses dyan or mga ebidensya, magte-turn away yung mga Pilipino, mararamdaman nila na, teka, napapakapuya tayo rito pero 1,000 lang yung nanonood, parang ganon. Mm.
Cliffhanger. Baka puro na ginawang ano, mga K-drama
Keep
na
lang.
pa cliffhanger na, para may 4 seasons pa. Pamunta na
Mm.
tayo sa dulo ng discussion natin. Is there anything else that you want to see come out of the Quadcom? Ano yung mga issues na dapat bantayan? Anong issues na dapat i-expose? When I say bantayan is because I think you have seen, no, yung DDS attack line na pinaprep daw yung mga witnesses. Ngayon, tinitignan nila lifestyle check na lahat ng mga congressman. Si Abante, di ba, nagdrama siya na tinetroll na siya ng mga Duterte side and all. Parang sabi ko, welcome to the club. What do you think was happening to all of us? So, now you can see there's a pushback also, di ba? Pinipersonal attack na yung mga congressman na yan eh.
Ano yon? Kagaya nga ng sinasabi mo kanina, Richard. Pagka kinanti mo yung king, dapat dire-diretso. So, ito na ngayon. Hindi mo rin expect na somebody like Duterte will just roll over and play dead. Kumaga, hindi. Lalaban yan. Kasi, alam mo, this guy loves life, ano? Masyadong, ano to, masyado siyang vain, masyado siyang materialistic, he loves power. Kumbaga, he's a narcissist. Kaya lalaban ito kasi ayaw niya yung the thought that he would be dragged to prison ano to hindi kakayanin nung ego niya, no, na kaya nga nung nilalabas ko yung storya na pinagkakatago-tago niya na siya pala yung involved sa illegal drugs all along, tapos pinagpapatay niya yung mga lowly drug addicts tsaka yung mga inosente, 'di ba? Para lang dun sa rules niya. So ano to? Sociopath na and a psychopath for that matter. So yun, that's the height of hypocrisy. Kaya nakita niya, kaya ano siya, naggumagawa siya ng eksena nung towards the end kasi he wants me to stop eh. Ini-interrupt niya yung
Halika
ano
na,
ko.
halika na, halika na. Did you think about doing that, or is it's just you, a Sonny being Sonny macho? I mean, like, I was surprised eh. Halika. Kasi ako, I just saw one angle na si Digoy nagwa. Wala,
Um,
gumagano sa ko, ano nangyari? And then may nag-send sa akin. Tingnan mo kasi yung sinabi ni Sonny. Halika na. What was going on there? Ano nangyari?
ah, well, kasi nga ano no, sabi ko nga pag na-decode mo si Duterte, matitrigger mo siya eh. alam mo which buttons to push eh.
Yung algorithm niya, na-gets mo na.
Oo, maano mo 'yun kaya ano to matotorta to sa akin pagka ano, pagka kasi 'yun na nga no. Alam niya kasi yung stage niya. Gusto niya yung full control. He can say whatever he wants. Pero pagka yung kaya nakikita niya yung he relishes that yung bang takot na takot sa kanya, nagde-defer sa kanya kung sino-sino. And ang baba ng tingin niya sa mga congressman. Tapos he's this guy na parang wala akong pakialam sa kanya, na-hurt yung ego niya eh. Parang gano'n.
Wala siyang fear factor, wala kang reverence or anything. He's not used to that. Just last point on this before quickly I talk about also Trump and US and your friend on the other side. Um, so ICC. I know again there's secrecy and all of that. Kasi ang worry namin, I and Justice Carpio were talking about this. As you know, Karim Khan is facing investigations now for alleged assault, blah blah blah, and we know that may mga malalaking bansa na hindi natutuwa sa kanya dun sa warrant of arrest request niya laban sa mga alam mo naman Israel leaders, etc. Some are saying baka magkakaroon ng delays also, that there's some drama going on in the ICC. What is your read? Again, none of us have insider information, but I think both of us know that there is conversation, like coordination, if I can put it that way.
Based sa aking mga informants who are privy to the investigation, hindi makaka-apekto yun sa timeline. So, yun na lang yun. Again, sabi ko nga, it's a waiting game. We were very excited a few months back, pero nagbago sila ng threshold. Wala tayong magagawa doon. But I think nalagpasan na yung threshold na yun. So, andun na tayo.
All right. So Duterte may have started the year with attacking BBM, and BBM may end the year on his own terms if things come together. Last part, hindi ko matapos ng conversation unless asking you. So how do you feel about Marco Rubio likely becoming the most powerful diplomat on earth and a key partner? This is someone who last year wrote in the National Interest and very important op-ed saying the US cannot afford to lose a key ally like the Philippines to China. He was very clear why the US should care for the Philippines. So in many ways, marami na excite sa security circles, West Philippine Sea circles, about Marco Rubio's appointment. Di na lang ako mag-comment dun sa mga ibang appointments sa RFK Jr., mga Tulsi Gabbard. But what is your read? Can you tell people to the degree that you can share? You and Marco Rubio, you go back quite some time, though, back in the Duterte days and all. He was quite helpful on a number of issues.
Yes, and ano no, nung time na we were looking for allies no sa international community, si Senator Marco Rubio was one of the senators who opened the doors for the Philippines. And ano yon, very substantial yung mga napag-usapan doon. And back then he was the chairman of the Appropriations Committee. And by the way, in-announce niya man niya doon sa kanyang
Oh
social
naman, I
media,
mean,
ano
of
doon sa
course,
mga
yeah, yeah.
pinag-usapan namin, ano. So we talked about the human rights situation dito at inano niya na talagang hinold niya yung release ng grant sa PNP because it allowed itself to be instrumental dun sa extrajudicial killings. Ngayon, tinanong niya ako, he consulted me if the AFP should also be
Sanction.
kumbaga sanction. Doon ko sinabi na no, hindi kasi in fact the AFP tried to steer clear of the EJ case at hindi sila involved. So sinabi niya, so it's just okay to release the grant sa AFP. So sinabi ko, yes, kasi ganun yon. Pero kasi siya dun sa PNP, it's all over the place. Convinced na sila na it has to be cut. So pero at least na-save natin yung sa AFP. So nakita niya more clearly na hindi ito parang the whole government, the different agencies being used. Hindi, merong ganon. So, yan yon. Then, ang basa ko naman sa kanya kasi is a traditional conservative, no? Yung traditional Republican. Kaya palagay ko, doon niya ang magiging ideological moorings niya as he navigates itong kanyang new role as uh, ano to,
Secretary of
Secretary.
State.
Oh, so
In terms of
Yeah,
helping the Philippines, how do you see? I mean, what is your sense of him? Bakit parang ang concerned niya sa Pilipinas? Is it because I've talked to a lot of Republicans, their sense as pinabayaan ng Pilipinas, medyo nagigilty daw sila at sa tingin nila Pilipinas ay frontline state, dapat tulungan pa. I'm not saying Democrats are not saying that, pero sa aking palagay or sa aking experience, I saw Republicans recognizing that more. What is your read of Senator Rubio?
actually, merong strong Philippine lobby dyan sa
Ah, right.
US Senate and the US Congress. So, ano yan, bipartisan yan. Pero si Senator Marco Rubio, talagang nag-ano siya ng interest,
You know,
nag-express siya ng
I'm
interest.
trying to figure out where's this personal sense of investment coming from.
Well, I'll tell you ano of the record
Ah, okay.
kung
Sige, sige. Sorry, sorry, sorry. So, well,
so meron yan. Oo. So ngayon pero ilang beses siyang nag nag kumbaga sinuportahan yung kausa ng Pilipinas, yung human rights situation, 'di ba? So very active siya
yeah,
diyan
this is
pati
on
sa
the record
China.
naman. I mean, yeah,
Yes, yes.
we're
So
not saying anything that
yeah.
Senator Rubio is not
Yeah.
comfortable with, just to be clear. Yeah, yeah.
So sa West Philippine Sea. So kumbaga kaya doon, yung sa aspeto na yon, at least you don't have a pro-China Secretary of State. So with that, kahit papaano, makikita natin may continuity ng foreign policy dito sa Southeast Asia and particularly sa West Philippine Sea.
Hindi lang hindi I mean, hindi lang hindi pro-China, also hindi rin amateur hour. Because some
Yes.
would say some of the other appointments like
Yeah, may
but he's
problema.
definitely not an amateur. That's what I also wanted to emphasize. Tiny point because people are also asking me a lot. Kanina lang kausap ko some people from Stanford this morning discussing this issue. Like, kung ikaw si BBM ngayon, how should you deal with the incoming Trump administration to make sure na we can get the most out of that relationship for our national interest sa West Philippine Sea at sa China? From what you understand of what Marco Rubio could bring to the table and what the Republicans could bring to the table in the next 4 years.
So doon sa aspeto na yon, talagang person to person ano ito. Kasi the Philippine ambassador will try to find out sino ba yung mga influential people around the president. So kailangan niya ng
Either
mag-touch base doon para lang kumbaga hindi ma-ignore yung Pilipinas altogether. Then sa State Department. Sa State Department kasi meron silang institutional memory eh. So regardless of who the Secretary of State is, meron at meron silang mga policy advisors na nandoon. Pero syempre, yung may mga deep state conspiracy dyan, they can, but I
get
don't
rid of
think,
some of them.
but by and large, maiiwan yung blueprint ng foreign policy ng US for the next few decades kasi you cannot just flip it eh. Yun ang ano doon. And nakita naman natin itong si the Trump 2.0 is more differential. Palagay ko he will just be more hands-on dun sa domestic promises niya like the
Migration, yeah,
border, then the inflation. But other than that, ano na yon? He would defend.
autopilot.
Yeah, oo.
Well, thank you so much for that, Senator Trillanes. I know, sorry if I'm throwing you all of these questions. That's what I appreciate. Wala tayong, spontaneous tayong dalawa eh, di ba? Kaya pwede ka rin mag-Joe Rogan. I'm preparing you for, di ba? Like, wala lang coordination. Just go there and say what you need to say. Ganun talagang tunay na macho lalaki, di ba? Machong tao. No preparation, nothing. So, pasensya na, Senator Trillanes, kung I got a little bit competitive. Sabi ko, ba't di siya nag-drama sa akin? Na-hurt ako. So yan,
Hindi.
nilabas mo yung drama mo. So, halika na. Tara na. Senator, halika na. Salamat po. Is there anything we
Okay.
will have to look forward to? Mayor, by the way, pagdating sa campaign mo, how is the campaign going? I hope you're not getting distracted. I mean, kung saan-saan ka na pupunta ngayon, foreign
Oh,
policy, drug war. Kamusta naman ang campaign
oh.
natin, Mayor, and how can people help you?
Well, alam mo, Richard, you'd be surprised kung gaano kaiba yung local politics with national politics.
I know. It's so hard.
Talagang iba siya. So, um, basta you'd be surprised dun sa aming hanay ng mga leaders namin, local leaders. Marami mga maka Duterte. Yung talagang hindi mo ma-explain, but it is what it is. Basta kami we're moving forward with the vision of changing Caloocan for the better. Ganun
And
lang.
and, and Mayor, if people want to volunteer for your campaign or something, where should they go? Is there a place they should go um for
Sa
volunteering?
ngayon, ano na lang, word of mouth, you can pass it on kila ano. So,
Right.
para gano'n na lang, we'll put them dun sa right staff or right department namin.
Oh, thank you for that. I think down the road sana gawa ka rin parang si Navalny yung mga videos, 'di ba yung pinapakita may drone, may corruption, yung may diagram. I think kaysa hintayin natin ng Netflix, I think we should do those things ourselves at some point. So, mabuhay ka, Senator Trillanes, and mabuhay ka doon sa kampanyan mo para maging mayor ng isa sa mga mahalagang syudad sa ating bansa. Mabuhay ka, Senator. Thank you very much. God bless po.
Salamat, salamat Richard.